Hooker-Dunham Block, 1884. Rivaling the length of the Crosby Block diagonally across the street, this three-story brick commercial block was erected for George W. Hooker in 1884 and dominates the east side of Main Street. George W. Hooker lived across Main Street where Pliny Park is. The Dunham Brothers Company began in 1885 with one shoe store located here at 135 Main Street. It was started by three brothers, George, Charles, and Lyndon. Dunham Brothers had moved to Brattleboro from South Paris, Maine. By the late 1800s, the brothers decided to sell shoes in neighboring stores. The first store outside of Brattleboro was in Wilmington, Vermont. This being successful, Dunham expanded and sold to other stores. Thus began the Dunham wholesale shoe business, traveling shoe salespeople, and the increase of local employees. In 1901, the Dunham brothers employed 10 traveling shoe salespeople traveling throughout the eastern half of the country. Each year, Dunham Company held a 2-day training for its traveling salespeople. Training was in Brattleboro and included a banquet. Salespeople learned of the new products for the upcoming selling season and were consulted on new available products. Salespeople then decided which samples to bring to their respective sales areas in the eastern United States. Business was booming. In 1922, the Dunham brothers bought the Hooker Block and the Ryther Block so they could expand. The company's warehouse capacity doubled. By 1950, the Dunham Brothers Company was considered the largest independent footwear wholesaler in the entire United States. There were over 250 local employees, and all floors of the Dunham Hooker building on Main Street were completely occupied by the company. The Dunham brand became widely known for its work shoes, boots, and casual footwear. Dunham's continued to change and grow over the next 20 years, expanding to warehouses in Chicago, Denver, Salt Lake City, and Reno. In 1982, Dunham's had opened 50 footwear outlet stores in New England. In a few generations, Dunham Brothers went from a single storefront on Main Street to a large warehouse business that expanded across the United States. Dunham's retail store was at the Main Street level. The corporate office was located on the top floor. Prior to the late 1940s, all footwear was transported to various floors via 2 elevators. Shoes would arrive either by truck, at the street level, or by rail. John M. Jack Dunham remembers working during summers during the late 1950s uploading footwear from railroad cars. A great amount of footwear was shipped to Dunham's from Indiana, and the freight cars were empty grain cars, which were not good for my hay fever. At the time, Dunham's was the eastern distributor of Red Ball Jets footwear with the red dot on the heel. My first memory as a very young boy was riding on the conveyor belts on the new conveyor system, which was used to transport inventory among floors instead of the elevators. What a thrill that was. Offices were located on the top floor. Orders would be processed and sent down to the warehouse manager via an air tube. Orders were picked from the 5 floors of inventory using hand trucks and elevators. Once orders were completed, they went to the shipping department and would be shipped via trucks that would back into the alley on Main Street. The Brattleboro Police Department would stop traffic. It was quite a scene. Sometimes a truck would hit the south side of the alley and would knock a few things off the wall on the adjacent Houghton and Simon store. Once a week, the warehouse manager and my dad, John L. Dunham, would go through the physical inventory and would publish a stock condition list that would be sent out on Thursday to all salesmen, reflecting the current inventory as they started out on Monday morning making calls. In 1966, company expansion required it to move to the cotton mill in Brattleboro, where they conducted business until sold by the family in 1993. Dunham's retail store remained at 135 Main Street and was subsequently sold as well.